What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the David F. Haas podcast. I'm your host, David F. Haas, in the studio solo today, and I'm going to do a recap on 2024. We're going to cover the Trump election, AI, the key lessons that I learned from 2024, and what's on deck for 2025. I think it's going to be a good overview with some great lessons. So I hope you enjoy the show. So I forgot to do this, but I was right. I made the prediction that Trump would win the election. And it's funny because I made the prediction before I even knew the saying it was too big to rig. And that's essentially what I was alluding to in my podcast, that I thought that the turnout for Trump would be so great that you couldn't kind of deny it. And, that's exactly what I said on the podcast. And, I did that kind of like intuitively on the podcast. I had a sense that Trump was going to win, but then I started to realize it was all because of the level of consciousness. And so when you're at a higher level of consciousness, you get more support from that mechanism that is moving us towards the best version of ourselves. Call it evolution, call it the unfolding of the universe. And so that's where Trump was. And so that's what you see happens when you get in alignment with that energy, is you end up getting supported. So if you look at like the electoral map of the United States, it's basically all red except for like California and New York and a few small pockets of blue here. And so this is the power that comes. And I also believe, though, that this is, I even said in that podcast that the Trump win would shift, a large majority of the world. And we're already starting to see that actually in the last few days here. Trudeau's government is essentially falling apart. Chrystia Freeland just resigned, basically saying like, hey, I can't be a part of this anymore. Like, we just continue to make poor fiscal decisions and we continue to play political games, and she just didn't want to be a part of it anymore, and she quit. And so this is all a result of Trump's winning the election and saying, hey, there's going to be a 25% tariff. Basically what he was saying is like, we can't continue to have weak leadership with our neighbors to the north, and the whole country is seeing it. And so I think probably Trudeau's approval rating is the lowest of any prime minister in the history of Canada, is probably what I'm guessing. I don't know for sure, but that's what I'm guessing. And we'll probably see in the new year. I would surprise that it even got to the New Year's, but I think we'll probably see in the new year an election with Pierre taking that. And so I think one of the things that I want to take away from this is that when you begin to uncover your own protections through spiritual growth, then you essentially move out of like the people pleaser, right? And if you look at Trudeau, you look at Trump, you just tell me which one is the people pleaser and which one isn't. And it's like, And so now when you aren't a people pleaser, sometimes people perceive that as you're an asshole, essentially. Right? And that's what the people pleaser is trying to avoid, is the pain of people not liking him. But that person is very dangerous. And they will do anything to make sure that they are liked. And so if you look at a guy like Pierre, he's like, he doesn't care what people think, kind of thing. He just says what's on his mind. And yeah, sure, he's like got this kind of way of kind of saying things, right? But like that's like very theatrical, right? But like the reality is that he's speaking his truth. And he's speaking not his truth, he's speaking the truth. And when you do that, you're going to get the support of the universe, let's just call it. And so we're starting to see a shift. And I guess the other takeaway I want to kind of highlight here is that the truth always wins. I actually got our memory today, and I tried to find a clip of it, but it was like 3 years ago today that I had Jalen on my podcast talking about COVID right in the middle of COVID. And when we were just calling all of this bullshit out about the COVID vax and how it didn't prevent transmission. And it was all just propaganda. It was all just a thing to make more money. And the belief that COVID would kill you, probably end up killing more people than the actual illness did. And, and it's because we're aligned, we're aligned with the truth. And so I heard Candace Owens say recently that she immediately gets taken back when someone says my truth, because that means that the truth would be subjective. But there is no my truth, your truth. There's only the truth. And to get into alignment with the truth is difficult because we have all of our own ego patterns that are designed to protect us, and they may pull us out of the truth. But as you learn to identify those ego patterns, you can be aligned with the truth. And now sometimes being aligned with the truth ends up putting you as an outlier. Like when I made that podcast with Jalen, it's like I got so much pushback from that, right? So much pushback considering the size of my audience. And it's because we were separated from the masses or the herd, right? But usually the truth kind of is a little bit behind the lies. Like there's like some sort of like a lie will travel around the world 7 times before the truth catches up, kind of thing. And that's kind of what we've seen with COVID, was that all of the lies are now coming out more and more and more. That's what we saw with the Democratic Party. That's what we're seeing with Trudeau. And so the truth always catches up. The truth always wins, and we can have faith in that because it's just been seen over and over and over again over the course of the history of time. So I think that's the big realization. I think we're headed towards some really great times with Trump in power and cleaning house. And I think Pierre is going to do the same thing. Maybe not as much as Trump, but I do believe that things are looking good. Canada's got a long way to go. But I recognize that we're moving in the right direction. For me personally, I think one of the biggest takeaways, and that I shared on this podcast multiple times, was that I identified that one thing that was probably the number one thing that kept me from achieving high levels of success. And when I saw it, I was like, oh man, how did it take me this long to learn this lesson? And that one thing was that was focus, is that you have to remain focused on what it is that you can go after. And this was revealed to me when I set the intention to break 80 in golf, and then I just did it. It wasn't even hard work. It was just I didn't even have to think about what to do. I was just in the field of trying to become a better golfer and break 80, and it just happened. And then it just came to me. It's like everything that I've ever wanted, I've received when I've really been, really had the intention. It's like, I wanted a business that was successful. I did that multiple times with Treehouse. I did it with Lungo Vita again. Did it with my coaching. I wanted to break 80 in golf. I wanted to be a award-winning sailor. All of these things happened. I wanted to do an MMA fight, and I did it, and I won. And so the recognition, though, is that in every time I achieved every one of those things, I immediately moved to the next. Right. And to the fact where I actually even just sold my sailboat, which I kind of regret actually, because it was like, I did it, and now let me move on to something else. And then I switched to golf, and now I've kind of done it in golf, even though I'm staying focused on golf. But sometimes it's like that moving to the next, which is in all of us. We crave that novelty. Right. And so true success comes from pushing beyond the boredom that comes after the accomplishment. Right. And it's like, I'm watching this Aaron Rodgers documentary right now on Netflix. And he's talking about after he won the Super Bowl and won the MVP, and he was like, oh my God, I've spent my whole entire life chasing this one thing, and now it's here. And it's like, now what kind of thing, and then it creates some serious inner reflection. And so I think the most important thing that would dictate any person's level of success. Now, I'm not talking yes, of course, financial success. But for those of you who have already achieved financial success or feel like you're in the right spot financially, but I'm talking about success with respect to happiness, with respect to health. If you want to achieve any level of success, the most important thing that has to happen is you have to get in alignment with who you really are. And the way that you do that is through the undoing of the ego's protections. The more you undo all of the ego's protections, right, the more that you get aligned with what you're really supposed to do, and then the more that you get supported from the universe, and the quicker and the easier that thing flows into your life. Now, the next step is when that thing flows into your life, to not allow the ego's pattern of looking to what's next to start pulling you in a different direction, right? And so if you're aligned with what you're really supposed to do, and you, let's say, for example, I'm really supposed to build Lungo Vita into the world-class wellness resort. And so it would be very easy for me to start looking in another direction once I start getting to a certain level of income there, to start looking at a different business, to start looking at doing something differently. This is what I've done over and over again. So now I'm aware of that ego pattern to look for the new, to feel some sort of way inside, which is accomplished, let's just say. And then I'm just going to ignore it, right? And because of me being able to be aware of that and to ignore that, I'm going to take Lungo Vita into the stratosphere, essentially, right? It's like we're already 4 years ahead of everyone that's trying to do this, right? And they're not even going to be able to touch us because we're going to be 10 years ahead of like the wellness game with respect to the things that we're going to do out there. And so it's like, this is the power that comes from focus. So just, if you're listening to the podcast, we just want to recognize that you can have anything that you want, but it's all about what you focus on. And so then that leads to my next point, which is the intention. And so, also revealed to me in golf was like the power of intention. So when I first started playing golf, the intention was that I wanted to break 80 in golf. And now 2 things about that intention was I was very focused on it, right? And 2, I believed I could achieve it, right? After I broke 80 in golf, and I did it I think 5 times this year. So after I broke 80 in golf, then I was just playing golf, right? And because of that, there was not really any improvement. And then near the end of the season, I was on the golf course and I literally went, oh, I know why I'm not getting any better, because there is no more intention. And so I had this loose intention that I wanted to shoot par, but it wasn't like a committed, when you set an intention, it's like, you just know that nothing is going to pull you from that intention until you get there. Now, the reason that I wasn't so committed to the shooting par intention is because I didn't believe it, right? So then I recognized that there was a lack of self-belief there. And then I was like, oh, wait, no, if I just stay consistent and do what I'm supposed to do, I'll get whatever it is that I want. And what I want to do is shoot par. And now I'm intending to shoot par. And everything that I need to shoot par is beginning to be revealed to me, even in the off season. And so not only is the intention important, but also we have to believe that we can achieve it. And so if you look at what it is you want to intend to do, let's say you want to make $10 million, ask yourself seriously, do you really believe you can get there? And if the answer is no, then reduce the goal, right? Do you believe, look, I'm doing it out with my YouTube channel right now. It's like my ultimate intention for my YouTube channel will be to have 1 million subscribers, right? But that's so big and it seems so far to reach. So I'm starting with 1,000 subscribers, right? And that intention, I believe I can achieve. And the action that I've taken in the last even 16 days has been crazy. And the results I've been getting have been amazing. And I'm feeling like aligned and awarded. I gained in the last 28 days, Zach and I were just talking about, I gained 28 subscribers or 22 subscribers. Yeah, 22 subscribers. And that was in 16 days, right? Now, if I was comparing that to wanting to get 1 million subscribers, that would seem very demoralizing, right? You would suck all the energy. It would suck all the wind out of your sails, kind of thing, right? But because my intention is only 1,000 subscribers, right? I'm like, whoa, 22 is a very nice move towards that 1,000. And so obviously, by learning how to get to 1,000 subscribers, I'm learning how to get to 1 million subscribers. And so it's just like, there's just been so much clarity is basically what I'm trying to get at, that has unfolded for me in the last year. And I'm so grateful for that. And so most of that clarity has come from actually, from like just taking consistent action, if that makes sense. Clarity in golf, consistent action, clarity on YouTube, consistent action. The other thing that I do think that is important to touch on is AI. And so I'm doing this challenge, and I'm just following everything ChatGPT tells me to do to grow my YouTube channel. And I think the biggest takeaways from that so far have been the how is revealed in taking action. So there is no questioning what to do, just start. If you just start, the how will be revealed. But the other thing that's wild about AI is that there is no more question about what to do. AI has answered that. You can type into ChatGPT how to become a millionaire. You can type into ChatGPT how to market yourself. You can type into ChatGPT how to grow your YouTube channel, and it's going to spit out action steps. Now, are they all like perfect? No, but they all will increase your subscribers. I increase my subscribers, or increase increase you moving towards where you want to go. my intention is to increase my subscribers. I asked ChatGPT what to do, and in 16 days, I got 22 new subscribers following what ChatGPT told me to do. So there is no more questioning the how. And this is where so many people are stuck. Everyone is stuck on the how. It's like, and I'm gonna prove to you you're stuck on the how. It's like every time you see somebody that has a bunch of wealth, the first question you always ask is, what do they do? It's like, because you think that there's some mystery how about how they went out and did that thing, but there is no mystery. It's like, there never has been a mystery. ChatGPT is now showing us that, but the how is revealed by taking action, right? And so I think what ChatGPT will do, and this is, I think, what it's going to do, not in just this space, but in the space of all consciousness, it is showing us what has always been available, right? So ChatGPT is like a micro reflection of collective consciousness, meaning that everything that's ever happened in the entire world is stored into collective consciousness. And we have the ability to tap into that at any time to get the answer to any question. ChatGPT is showing us that on like a smaller scale because it's not as powerful as all consciousness, not yet. But it's showing us that you can just type in a question and it's pulling from all the information it's getting from every single person, right? That is collective consciousness. Okay. Now it's not as powerful, like I say, as all collective consciousness, because it's only pulling from the knowledge that exists on this planet in this time, right? But all of consciousness is like the consciousness of like God, let's just say. And so, do you want to get your answers from ChatGPT or do you want to get your answers from God? Right. So, I just think that AI is going to continue to move people towards higher states of consciousness. There will come a point, this is where I think it's headed, where AI is going to be doing everything for us. And our purpose will no longer be in what we can accomplish. Right. So just imagine you remove that drive to accomplish from your sense of self. What are you left with? Right. And so what you're left with is tapping into what life is really all about, which is moving up the scale of consciousness and plugging into unconditional love. Right. And so I think the next thing that people will chase will be enlightenment. Right. That's where I think it's going. So it's going to be interesting. I think the thing that scares me about AI is the idea of like AI right now is intelligent. I heard someone saying it's like it has like an IQ of like 100, right? Which is still pretty high, but the scary thing is that it will become super intelligent, meaning it will move beyond the intelligence of humans. And so if something becomes so much more intelligent than the humans, then it may begin to look at humans as like a mosquito, right? And if that happens, then, we could be in big trouble. Like we won't even be able to stop it, right? And so this is like a Terminator stuff, but it's out of my control. And so there's not much I'm going to do about that. I'm just going to like watch it all unfold and trust that everything that's happening is happening for within the highest good. And so it's going to be interesting to watch unfold essentially. But I think the early adapters of AI, the people that know how to execute are going to benefit the most from this. If you're a person who knows how to get shit done, there are no more excuses. Just go out and do it because ChatGPT is going to tell you how to do it, or AI in general. Another big realization I had in 2024 was that I've been avoiding sadness, right? And this was revealed to me from taking my kid to school and recognizing that I try and pull her out of her pain, not to make her feel better, but it's more about making sure I don't feel sad. When she's sad, I'm sad. So I want her to not be sad, so I'm not sad, right? And the recognition that has changed me as a parent, as a partner, as a business person is it's encouraged, and this is funny that this is my realization as a letting go coach, but it's encouraged to allow people to be in their feelings, right? So if my daughter's sad because she doesn't want to go to school, instead of trying to pull her out of that sadness by saying it's going to be fine or whatever, just let her be sad. I just kind of say, hey, I know you don't want to go to school today, but we got to go to school. So just sit in your sadness until it's gone, and let's get our backpack on and go to school. And she is leaning into that. And it's, obviously it's like, she's 5. So it's not like this, she's like really processing a lot of it, but what she is processing is that I'm not going to save her anymore. Right. And in doing so, I'm making her more resilient. Right. But then that can be applied to my wife. It can be applied to my employees. It can be applied to myself. And so all of our suffering is from the avoidance of pain. This is at the core of what I coach people on. And the funny thing is that the mechanisms that the ego, which is just that little voice inside of us, have created to protect us from that pain, they're sneaky. They're sneaky as fuck. And the one that's been revealed to me the most is like, it's the one that's hidden. It seems like it's a good thing. Like, oh, you're such a good dad. Like, you take really good care of your daughter, or you're such a good husband. You take really good care of your wife. But it's not really about the need to take care of them. It's about the need for you to not feel pain. Right. And so it's like the ego's sneaky little tool to protect you from pain. So then as soon as I recognized that, then I began leaning into the pain. I began saying, okay, I feel bad for her and I feel sad for her, but I can handle feeling sad for her. And that just changed me completely as a parent, and it's trickled down into every other relationship that I essentially have. So the big takeaway there is like, we have to recognize what pain we're avoiding, and you have to continue on this journey, because the ego's sneaky. The ego will find ways of protecting you that seem like it's a good thing when it might not be, right? The other thing is that one of the big things I talked about probably for like a couple of months on my socials was about how we are a part of the unfolding of the universe, right? And there is nothing causing anything. And this is about the idea of cause and effect and the Newtonian paradigm of cause and effect, like that A causes B. But beyond this physical world, there is nothing causing anything. Well, even in this physical world, there is actually nothing causing anything. And so people will say, well, yes, there is. Like, if you punch someone in the face, you caused that pain on that purpose. And well, it's like, let's break that down. Like, what were the scenarios that led to someone being so angry that they had to punch someone in the face? How was that person raised? How was that person's parents raised? And so if you start to look at all of the millions and millions of factors that led to that person getting punched in the face, it's like, what caused it? Right? And you can't pinpoint it. Nothing caused anything. It's all just a part of the unfolding of the universe. And so this mechanism is moving us towards the best version of ourselves. And we don't have to do anything to be a part of it. Call it evolution, call it whatever you want. But the aha I had with this was, I was watching the show 1923. And I had this like surreal, like kind of like outer body experience of like, I'm in my beautiful basement with this big couch and this 82-inch TV in a heated house with running water and a refrigerator and electricity and streaming it on the internet. And I'm watching a show that took place, 100 years ago. And like watching how these people lived, which was like, horse and buggy, the automobile was just coming out. There was no electricity in a lot of these places. They were just bringing electricity around. Like, and it was just like, I just had this moment of like, holy fuck, how far have we come in 100 years? And that was not even with what we have now with artificial intelligence now training artificial intelligence. So if it only took us 100 years to go from horse and buggy to our comfortable lives now, so what the hell is going to happen in the next 100 years, right? We're not going to recognize our life in 20 years. Right? And so like, this has been the big, like, holy shit, like this is like a huge unfolding, but all of it, unless AI destroys us, all of it has been about making our lives better. Like, how much better is our life from how they were living in 1923? Like, they were still shitting in outhouses and this kind of stuff. And it's like, how much better is our life? And what did you need to do to be a part of that? Nothing, right? It's just, we are part of this energy, this force that is constantly propelling us towards the best version of ourselves. And so when you really begin to lean into that and you really begin to believe that, you'll begin to see how the universe, God, is working with you at all times. Now, that comes from an undoing of the ego. So as you begin to undo the ego, you begin to see how much support is actually out there for you. So any decisions made from ego will result in suffering. Any decisions made in alignment with thy will, or the will of God, with our higher self, not out of fear, out of courage, you're going to get support. And so we don't have to do anything to be a part of that support system, right? And so when you really begin to do it, it's like stepping into like the Gulf Stream. It's like you're flowing. You don't barely even have to paddle, and you're flowing and you're in that Gulf Stream kind of thing, right? Or the Gulf Stream is in the air, actually. But no, I think there's a Gulf Stream in the water too. I don't know. You're in a flow is what I'm trying to get at, okay? And so when you're in that flow, life is easy. Doesn't mean you're not doing anything. It just means things are unfolding. Things are happening for you. And so I just want to make sure I'm in that flow as much as possible. And so I know when I'm in that flow, when I'm aligned. I know when I'm out of that flow, when I'm operating out of fear or ego protection, right? And so alignment with higher self is everything, right? And so I think if you begin to realize that, it's like, well, what do you do with that? It's like, well, it's really simple. You just want to uncover how the ego is protecting you. Undo it by feeling the pain. And when you do that, you naturally move into more alignment with higher self, right? So I think that's like the recap. I think what's coming for 2025 for me and like business is, one is I'm really feeling energy around like spreading this message on YouTube and just socials in general. And I'm just getting better at delivering the message. And I think that my YouTube channel is going to continue to gain more and more popularity because I'm like really passionate about having people come to these realizations, because it just makes life a lot easier. And I see the overall end goal. I think it's like you only need 8% of the population to be enlightened to completely transform the entire world. And if you want to get an example of that, like just look at what the great leaders of our time or the great spiritual leaders of our time did. Like look at Krishna, Buddha, Jesus. It's like these are just a couple people, right? And they transformed the entire course of humanity, right? There's 3 people, right? And so it's like, wow, just imagine if like 3 million people were at the level of consciousness of enlightenment, which is like 600, like what would the world look like? And that's where I think we're headed, because we're not gonna have to do anything anymore, right? And so, so that's why I'm really passionate about growing the YouTube channel, because I wanna raise the level of consciousness of mankind by talking about the experiences that I've gone through in elevating my own level of consciousness. Now, not enlightened, but my intention is to be so, right? And so I see the message being delivered to more people. I see Lungo Vita becoming like a world-class wellness resort, right? Right now we're in this like middle ground of glamping and wellness, but I think a big shift to more wellness. And yeah, I think we're just going to be moving into, and overall for society, I think we're just going to be moving into more and more awareness, right? It's like, Buddha said, like, rare is it to have even heard of enlightenment. Rarer still is it to pursue enlightenment as like a life goal. But because of the way that information is spreading, especially the way it's spreading with AI, there's going to be more and more people that are going to step out of this getting game, which is what we've all been in our whole entire lives, and are going to start looking within to resolve everything that's going on. And when we do that, it's going to be like, man, it's going to be like a magical place to live. Now, is that going to all happen in 2025? Of course not. But I do think we are going to see a shift into people looking at how to move up the scale of consciousness more. And they'll put it all into their own types of models and words, and the people will try and own it, but eventually we'll step out of all of that as well. And so I guess I'll sum it up as the future looks bright, essentially. So that's pretty much it. Hope you have a good New Year. I'm sure I'll make another podcast over the holidays potentially. If you got any value whatsoever, I would really appreciate if you like and subscribe, because it helps spread the message, helps raise the level of consciousness of humanity, and that's the intention of this channel.